Okay, so my name is Swami Dhyanayogananda. I was born and raised in the city of Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I discovered Vedanta when I was 19 years old. And 9 years later, I was invited to join the monastery in Buenos Aires. And so that was my joining center. I moved to India in 2005, did my training center, and I stayed there for 7 years. Because of my background and my training in business administration and accounting, I worked for Vivekananda University for 5 years when I was in Belur Math. And I also continued my training in Sanskrit and, learning Vedanta. We love Vedanta. And so spent a lot of time with Swamis, very senior monks, studying Upanishads and constantly attending classes. So that was very good for me until in 2013, I was called from San Francisco to help the center. So I was sent from Belur Math to San Francisco. I was there for 2 years. And then from San Francisco, Swami Dhyanayogananda called me to move to Hollywood so that I could continue the work in Spanish. So I moved to Trabuco Canyon, Ramakrishna Monastery in 2015. And since then, I've been here. And right after I moved here, I was asked to take charge of the center. So I'm basically the main Swami at Ramakrishna Monastery. And it's been great. I mean, it's an honor, and it's beautiful to serve Sri Ramakrishna wherever we are. I have to say that I really enjoy being at this particular place because it has become not just like a joining center, but lots of youngsters come to this place and they are curious about monastic life. So some of them, they come and they go, of course, but it has become more like a training center. So it's something that I discovered that I enjoy a lot, to teach and train young people. So I had 3 brahmacharis, but then you know how life is. They come very young, and to make such a life decision like this, to become a monk, it's not so easy. So 2 of them left for different reasons. And there is one is in Hollywood, another is here with me, and they are ready to go to training center in India to get their training in India. So that's one of the activities that we do here at Ramakrishna Monastery. We give lectures every Sunday, and we have a food project where we rescue food from the food banks here in Irvine, and then we distribute food on every Thursday. We used to do that before the pandemic. Now we have to start again. And what else? We have a beautiful bookstore, a beautiful library. I don't know if you've ever been to Ramakrishna Monastery. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And unfortunately, we don't have a guest house for lady devotees. And our space is a little limited. Otherwise, that's the reason why it's not like a retreat center where we could host, a lot of people. And but it's definitely a place you have to make it a point to visit when you come to California. So that's basically it. I've been in the order since 2001, formally as a monk, so a little bit more than 20 years doing this, and another kind of 10 years in a spiritual life and in sadhana. So that was very helpful to me. It wasn't difficult to join this monastic order, and since I had this sort of background and sort of used to this discipline life, and well, it's a beautiful journey. And I'm happy to share with you my passion and love for spirituality and everything I have learned so far.
Thank you, Swamiji. Very nice. Nice meeting you.
Yes, absolutely. Nice to meet you too. And do you have any questions?
Maybe afterwards. Maybe now we can start with...
Feel comfortable. All right. Let's start. Om Bhadram Karane Vishrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashye Makshabhirya Jatra Thirairangai Stushpruvagum Sastanubihi Vyashema Deva Hitanyadayu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, O gods, may we hear with our ears what is auspicious. O ye adorable ones, may we see with our eyes what is auspicious. May we sing praises to ye and enjoy with strong limbs and body the life allotted to us by the gods. Om, peace, peace, peace. Very good. Well, thank you, Usha, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to talk about something that is very important, I believe, for all of us, regardless the role we play in our lives, whether we are monks or whether we are grihastas or householders. It doesn't really matter. We are all human beings, and we are all after something we are looking for. We call it happiness. In my own words, I think we all want peace. We want that peace. So regardless what we do, we are all looking for that, following different paths in different ways. But I call this, the topic for today is a God-centered activity. And I borrowed this language, God-centered activity, from Swami Dhyanayogananda from Australia. I don't know if you know him, Swami Dhyanayogananda. He constantly talks about this God-centered activity. And I love it. I think he's absolutely right. The thing is that to have a center, we need to define what God is. And so what do you think God is? Let's participate. Let us not this be a monologue. What do you think God is? Let's just try to think out of the box, and dare to describe what God is, what God is to us.
Who created us and who's taking care of us and with us always.
Very good.
God is here to make us, to know us how to realize Him.
Very good.
Not a work.
I think God is peace, happiness, calmness, all the good qualities is God.
Wonderful.
Good
Qualities, yes.
Swamiji, I feel God is very powerful without form, with an intelligent field.
So I think 4 or 5 of you expressed what God is, and you are all right. I don't know how many of us are here today. Probably 7, 8 people?
11 of us.
11.
Yes.
11 of us, including me?
Yeah, 10 of us and you 11. You're number 11.
11 gods.
Auspicious,
11
auspicious
11 gods, Usha. Isn't
Okay.
it great?
Okay, you say
11 gods.
That's good.
Yes.
More will be coming. More will be coming.
Yes, yes, yes. No. One of the things that we have to, that Vedanta really encourage all of us, and I'm very strong about it, it's not that we have to believe. We have to make efforts to accept that in reality, we are that already. So yes, 11 gods, and we all expressed our idea of God in different ways, in according to our language and our idea and interpretation of what God is. Somebody mentioned that God is peace, is happiness, is love. God is our creator. So we have a dualistic idea of what God is, and it's not wrong. Another mentioned that God is without form. It's actually, all these conceptions are absolutely right. It's just an idea. An idea that is, we have been introduced to since we were kids. We were born and raised in different traditions and in different cultures. We have this thing in common, that we were all introduced to the idea of God somehow, in some way. And we all have this idea, this dualistic idea, that God is sitting somewhere watching all of us, either controlling or putting harmony or giving harmony to all our life, our world, and regardless of how we see and experience things, that we might experience whatever is happening in the world as not just or fair, but it is what it is. And there is somebody who has the vision of the whole picture, and certainly ours is a little limited. We don't get to have the whole picture. Otherwise, we would become our idea of him. We would be him. But we all have something in common, and I believe. The one thing is that God is an idea. And I'm going to be a little strong, but you are all Vedantins, so you are strong people. You can take this. God is our own creation. God is our own creation. It's been introduced to us. We accepted it, but in reality, it's our own idea. But in that idea, and that we have 11 ideas of what God is, we all have something in common. There is a common ground in all of us. God is the highest thought we can think of. God is the highest thought we can conceive with our human minds. If I ask you, what is the highest thing you can think of? Well, probably if you put that question to a kid, he will say, well, superhero, maybe Superman, or, you know? So for all of us, in a way, to think of the highest thing ever possible is our idea of God. He's all powerful, almighty, all knower. And that is true. That is true in all of us. And it's also true that we can say that God can be also expressed as the one governing or ruling over the natural laws of nature. Because there are laws, you know. There are laws in this world. We are all born here, and there is something very certain. And you know what it is. It's coming. We don't know when. It can happen anytime. And again, we seem to be living in this world kind of like we don't want to see the reality of it. That our stay in this beautiful, beautiful place is limited for some time. It has a beginning and it will have an end. There are laws. There are laws, the law of causation. Everything that happens, whatever result of a specific action, for everything there is, for every effect, there is a cause. And so God is that reality that rules over these laws. Would you agree? We'll keep going. I'm not leaving you there.
Yes, I do.
Perfect. I love this definition given by Swami Dhyanayogananda. I also read that he's been quoted by Merton, Thomas Merton. I don't know if you know who he is. He's an American mystic. He was a Trappist monk. But I love this definition of God. He says, Swamiji says, and I don't know again why I said that, because I don't know if Merton quoted Swamiji or Swamiji quoted somebody else, but that is not known to me. But I like to quote Swamiji because I'm his monk. And so what he says is God is like a circle whose circumference is nowhere. Now a circle is perfect. In the circle, nobody is higher than anybody else. In the circle, we are all included there. It's a unity. God is a circle whose circumference is nowhere. Can you imagine that? How far can we go with our minds? It's just as far as our imagination can go. We can imagine that nowhere as vast as the sky or the ocean maybe. But we all need ideas to describe somehow the vastness. God is a circle whose circumference is nowhere, but whose center is everywhere. God's circle's center is everywhere. Now, this sounds very nice, don't you think? It is. Sounds beautiful to me. But what does it mean? That God is everywhere. He's above, he's below, my left, my right. He's everywhere. Just look around and you will be surrounded by God. What we call God. What about us? We human beings, we can say, are also a circle. Yes, we are also a circle whose circumference is nowhere, just like God. Try to imagine again the circumference. Our circumference is nowhere, just like God. But unfortunately, whose center is in some body. The difference is we are just like God, but the center of our circle, we choose to be our bodies. It is our decision to center God's circle in our bodies. So what is happening there? We are clearly limiting God. We are contracting God's freedom. And we do that by ourselves. It's our decision. It is said that we do that out of ignorance. God is a circle whose circumference is nowhere, but whose center is everywhere. Human beings are also circles whose circumference is nowhere, but whose center is in somebody. Somebody is I am mine. I am so and so. I am Swami. I wear this rose, you wear those colors, etc., etc. We make these distinctions. And we identify ourselves. And we separate ourselves. We separate each other. Just because of our idea of body. Now, is it clear? Now, Vedanta wants to call our attention on this. They say, hey, truth is very simple. We are divine beings already. Tattvamasi. Thou art that. You are a divine being. Vivekananda says, our mission in life, the goal of life, is to let that divinity be, is to manifest that divinity in every single movement of our lives. If we go deeper and deeper, in every single thought that arises, or wave that arises in our mind, in every single vritti that arises in our mind. We are all divine beings, and the goal of life is to manifest this divinity, to express this divinity. So we are clearly limiting God's freedom in expressing himself through us. So God, by definition, God is everywhere, above, below, right and left, wherever you look around, including you. God is within you too. And it manifests himself, listen, as you. He is manifesting himself as Usha, Abhay, Kaveri, Pradeep, Anu, iPad 6, Bajira, Manjushri, Aloka, Sima, etc., etc. Swami. So what is happening here? Who else? Am I missing someone? Debbie. Debbie is also there. So what is What is happening? God is being expressed. Yes, God is present. He's present in us, but he's being limited by us. So if we really want to live fully in this world, if we really want to find that fulfillment, I'm sure we all want that. If we really want to find that peace Abhay mentioned as God, that perfect peace that gives you that sort of completeness where nothing else is needed. You don't need anything else. You are fully satisfied. What do you think our duty is? What do you think our job is?
Stay aligned with him.
Absolutely. And to be aligned with him, what should we do?
Keep our mind free so that we can receive him.
Well, that sounds very Catholic, and I love it because I was raised Catholic and Christian. So yes, we are going to receive this Holy Spirit. Yes, I like I like the language. Yes, receive him. He's already with us. Don't forget that God is already in us and manifests himself as you. As you. So God has got a name. His name here is Abhay. But Abhay wants to become God. Abhay wants to experience fulfillment. Yeah? Somebody who mentioned that God wants. We all want to be creators, you know, and want to be like God. I don't remember if it was Kaveri or somebody mentioned that. I tell you, I don't think nobody wants to be truly that, but because we will be in trouble. But what happens is, it is kind of, it is our heart's desire to be one with him, to commune with him. And sometimes in Vedanta, we say, well, we are God, but minus these powers of creation and this and that. It's all our ideas. That is, something that we can find in the books and in philosophical argumentations, and yes, because in reality, if you think about it, it's as simple as Sri Ramakrishna's analogy. A salt doll wanted to measure the depths of the ocean. She jumped into it. She never came back. So as we expand and expand, and when I say expand, we leave behind our identity. And by identity, you say, well, Swami, that's a lot, because what? Should I die or what? Well, death is certain, but it's certain of what? What does Krishna say? What does the Lord say in the Bhagavad Gita? Is certain of you or is certain of the body? God is certain for things that are subject to change. But who are you? You keep changing as long as you identify yourself with your bodies. Otherwise, you're always there. Always. Look back. See that witness that was there as a child, as a teenager, as a growing up woman, an adult. It's always the same witness. It's never changed. In fact, you are surprised when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, or sometimes somebody shows you a picture of yourself. Is that me? What happened? Something happened. Because sometimes time goes by so fast that we can even catch up with the changes that are happening every year. We look at ourselves in the mirror, we kind of like, oh, no? And they said, yeah, you are getting old. It's going faster than we think. But something does not change, and that's what we truly are, that witness, that presence, that consciousness, that existence. It was there, it is there, and will always be present, even after the death of these bodies. So the idea is that God Abhay, God Usha, God Devi, all of us should express more and more. Now, what happens when you expand and expand and expand, and your selfishness stays behind, far behind? All your desires of being in charge, all your desires of the I and mine are also left behind. As you move forward in this sync with God, or syncing, or tuning with God, you leave behind the idea of I and mine, and you slowly will fall into not I but thou. I am the machine, and you are the one driving the machine. You slowly will experience more and more what Sri Ramakrishna was experiencing. Not I by thou. And the more you grow and the more you expand, that's all you want. You want him to be. And you will be okay in letting that happen and allowing yourself to merge more and more into this ocean. And you become one with him. When you let him manifest through you, there will be no more you to say or to tell the story. Now, you see, oh, that's a scary. I don't remember where did I hear this or whether it was mentioned. But what if God all of a sudden appears before us and say, okay, I heard your prayers. Okay, are you ready now? You're going to become one with me. Are you ready? I'm going to touch you. I'm going to put my hand on your head, and you will merge in me. I say, wait, let me just make a phone call. Let me call my husband and my kids and my grandkids, and maybe tomorrow. No, tomorrow no. Maybe the day after. No, the day after. No. Maybe next month. You know what? Next year. I'll be super ready by then. And so it goes, right? What is that prevents us from being able to fully surrender?
Attachment.
Our clinging to life, that attachment to our identity, attachment to my experience. Now, is that natural in all of us? Yes, it is. Some of us the degree may be a little higher, some of us maybe a little less We don't care too much, but it still is there. Because if that who we call God comes before us and say, okay, are you ready? You will panic. So we have to be ready for that moment, because eventually it's going to happen. The truth is that all we are looking for in this life is that sense of peace and calmness, tranquility to manifest in all of us. And the only way to do it is to let him be. Now, it seems difficult, but in reality, if we think about it, if we reason about it, it shouldn't be that difficult, because God is already present. He's not somewhere else. He's not in heaven. He's here and now. He's manifesting himself, limited by our appearance, our name and form. We are all here, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Are we not? Why are we Sat, Chit, Ananda? If I ask you, what are you? I'm having on my screen, I'm seeing Usha and Abai, but if I start clicking, well, Pradeep, nobody's there. This is not fair. Devi's there too, but all right. I'm used to it. Don't worry. I mean, it's okay. You want to show your face, huh? I see. But so it is natural. If I ask you, what are you? Usha may say, well, I'm here. If I say, well, I'm here too. Well, I'm here in my house. I mean, my address is blah, 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 blah. I'm in North Carolina, or I'm here in California. But I'm here. You are there and I'm here, but you are. And you are able to express this through you. You acknowledge this reality. You acknowledge your existence, aren't you? You can't deny it. Why are you there? Or let me just speak for you. Why am I here?
We are in the domain of God, and we are instrument of God. We are manifesting his idea, his play within
Very
his
good.
domain.
Sweet. There is something more.
Conscious. We are conscious about who we are. We are here.
Very good. Very good. I like that. Who said that? Devi? Yes. Yes. We are conscious beings. And in that consciousness, we are aware of our existence. Can you deny that? Why am I here? Because I exist. I am here to tell you I am here. I am aware of that. That's the beauty. You can't deny that, can't you?
I'm conscious, and also I'm interested in knowing all this. That's the interest within me is drawing you to your lecture today. This is Manjusri. Yeah. That's what I think we are. That's why we are listening to you today, right? And we want to know more.
Yeah, I don't want you to focus on me. I want you to focus on you now, on your reality, on the awareness of your presence. Because the knowledge is already within you. Everything is in you already. In reality, you don't need me. It's already there. Okay? Yes, we have to help each other. And just as I heard this, or I thought I heard this from somebody, or we learned this from our teachers and scriptures. In the same way, we keep helping each other. We say, hey, get up, wake up. Where are you? I'm here. Why? Because I exist. There is knowledge and there is awareness. There is awareness, there is existence. That's it. And all you are looking for is fulfillment. And you experience fulfillment all the time. Tiny little pieces in your life. That's Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. Then if I ask you, how, Swami, am I experiencing Ananda? I wish I experienced Ananda. That's called bliss, right? Yes. You experience bliss. Usha, is there anything you like? Like a lot? Sundaes or ice cream? Is there anything you like and it's like, oh yes, yes, yes. I love that. And when you come in touch or you get that ice cream or that piece of chocolate cake, you are delighted to the point of nobody else exists but you and the piece of cake before you. You are communing with it. You love it. The cake loves you and it's ready for you. When you have the experience and it goes from here to here, because from here down there, maybe it would give us stomachache, but it may. But usually it doesn't when there is that connection. You experience what? A little bit of bliss. Where is that bliss coming from? Is it coming from the piece of cake or the ice cream that you like?
Within. Right.
It's coming from within you. Oh yes, Swami, because the flavors and the It's the fulfillment of your desire that makes that magic happen. All of a sudden you experience that magic and you are in bliss. Now, that bliss, how long does it last?
Short-lived.
As long as you manage to keep it in your mouth and just swallow it and boom, it's gone. So it's limited. So when we fulfill our desires, unfortunately, we do that by going outside. We look for that fulfillment in the outside world, in our relationship with the sense objects, humans, anything that somebody said attachment, that we attach to or desire. But when that happens, our desire is fulfilled, then we experience the bliss that comes from within. Because that's our nature. And that's all we want. All the time, uninterrupted bliss. Do you see it? We want that. Now, is the world enough to give us enough? I doubt it. Because things keep changing and you keep changing. You in this body. The world is never going to be enough to fulfill you. Because it's like a loop. like a loop, like a loop, like a loop. And it's never, ever enough. So the ancient teachers, the ancient seers of the truth, decided, well, it's not outside. It must be within us. So that connection needs to happen within us. And then we will experience that awareness, that existence, and we'll be in bliss. Now, when you are in bliss, then you don't want anything. You don't want anything. If you are in samadhi, do you think you will care for a piece of cake? You will be in communion with God. Who cares? Right? We are that already. But unfortunately, we are that in a sort of car, a sort of machine. It's called body. The body. It's a vehicle that we drive. We are put inside these vehicles, and there we go. There's a roller coaster. And naturally, the world is beautiful, but trying to come back to that bliss and experience that bliss, we get lost. So we are Sat, Chit, Ananda, Nama, and Rupa. We are Sat, Chit, Ananda, Swami, Devi, Usha, Bhai, Pradeep, Kaveri, Hanu, iPad 6, Vaishra, Manshushri, Sri Mahanaloka. Sat, Chit, Ananda, Nama, Rupa, name and form. Do we all agree? I mean, if you are Vedantis, I believe you should. I mean, I personally love that. I mean, we all want to be divine, right? But guess what? We are divine already. So the goal, Vivekananda says, is to manifest that divinity. Now we are having a little bit of a problem here. Because since we live in these human bodies, these vehicles, and we are so attached to them, the attachment is so subtle and so strong, so rooted, that our life is centered in these bodies. Now, how are we going to manage to go beyond that identity and to center our lives not in these bodies, but everywhere? Piece of work. Because are you trying to tell me that I am in this pair of glasses, in this cell phone, in this plant, yes, and are you trying to tell me that I need to live my life in the awareness that I am everywhere, even in the people before me, in my neighbor? And I will say yes. I will say, that's crazy. Yeah, it sounds a little crazy, I know. And the truth sometimes is a little bit overwhelming to all of us. But yes, our essence, our God, is as much as in me, in you, as in everybody, and in everything. There is a difference between the inner things, the living things, and among the living things, the living beings, the human beings. And the human being is the most evolved living being among living beings. And why is that? What if I ask in Isha, our dog, her name is Isha. Isha, where are you? Isha, what do you want? Do you want bliss? I want food. Probably the dog. I want shelter. Basic needs. Right? Food and shelter. And they are happy people. Happy people, happy animals. They lead their life experience by instincts. Well, sometimes we also behave like and let ourselves be and express ourselves by our instincts. Yes, that's true. But we have a thinking capacity, don't we? We think. We are thinking beings. And once we have the shelter, once we have the food, we want something else. Well, yes, I want to be a doctor, an engineer. I want to, I know, I want to have everything so that I am happy. And you work for that. You work hard for that. You study, and then you get a degree. You do so many things to be happy. And once you get all that, you realize that happiness, no, that wasn't there. And then all of a sudden you wake up to the reality that real, true fulfillment and happiness is not in the outside, not in the entertainments that the world can offer. But happiness starts when you start controlling yourself, when you start taking charge of your life. That is called dharma. Once you wake up to that, you decide to say, well, does really God exist? Maybe I will go back to what my mom used to say, or these traditions from my country, that said I had to go to the temple and I pray to Lord Shiva or Lakshmi or any Devi, Durga. And we start doing these practices and we seem to like it. We feel good. We go to a puja and then we feel connected. We feel connected, don't we? We feel connected with something higher. What is that something higher? Nothing but an idea within us. But we connect with that idea. We connect with that principle in that particular activity. What is truly happening there? What is happening is that we are superimposing, infusing to that particular activity the idea of God. And in doing that, it makes us feel great because we feel connected. We feel connected with a higher principle. We feel connected with the highest thought we can think of. We feel connected with something that is taking care of me. We feel connected with something that apparently created me. We feel connected because he's my mother, he's my father. He or she fulfills all my desires. And when they don't, I seem to be okay with it because if that's their will. Now, that's the approach of a devotee. But what happens is, in this particular case, the case of a devotee, there is surrender. You decide to surrender. And I do as much as I can, and I try as much as I can to give my God the best. And whatever God gives me back is nothing but his gift. And not what I want, but what I deserve. So as you can see, we are already divine beings and trying to come back to ourselves. Hard though, because we are addicted to bliss. And silly we are trying to find that bliss in the outside world, when in reality lies all the time within us. Now, the truth is, we are subject and object of everything we want in life. How do we go around this? You all agreed with me that you are all divine beings already. How do you manifest your divinity? There is only one way. I mean, there is the old way, the way of a monk, you know. The way of a monk, that means the monk already was Vidwa sannyasin, you know. Vidwa sannyasin is someone who has already realized that in reality he's not the doer, neither the enjoyer nor the doer. And for all those who are not there yet, we somehow need to be reminded that we are not the doer, that we are not the center of our lives. We all need to be reminded. How are we reminded of that? By constantly remembering our idea of God and what he means, and the freedom that we have to relate to it in whatever way we feel comfortable about. It could be in the shape of a woman, it could be in the shape of a man, it could be in the shape of a stone, it could be in the shape of what you name it. But one thing is true, that we need to connect with that principle, present, always, ever present in that idea. And when we connect with that, we are superimposing, we are giving life to it. And when we connect with it, we connect with ourselves. And when we connect with ourselves, we grow less and less selfish. And we start living more and more in the presence of God. Do you agree?
I think so.
There's a doubt, I think.
You gave a lot to think about all that. That's very, I mean, very good ideas, and I think these are some things we can really, be aware of. I mean, the awareness is the one that we need to be aware. Yes, God is everywhere. We are God. God is everywhere. So, but being in the body, being in the materialist world, dealing with all the situations, I think we do forget that you do. So there's a constant reminders that yes, everything we see is God, because God resides in everybody. So God is. So there's nothing, Today I was reading about Swami Dhyanayogananda's letters, and one of he says that us as a devotees should follow scriptures, always question and go back to scriptures and see if we are doing, according to that. Animals have instincts, but we people should, follow something that which can guide us. So that's kind of awareness, consciousness, awareness, that we are here for higher purpose. The story of those two birds, we are
Yes,
lower
yes.
birds always, So I think we have to always remind ourselves our higher nature, and we are that, but we forget again, there's so many
Yes,
times
yes.
around us. Yeah.
Yes. But even then, you are that, Usha.
Yes,
You
I
may
think I'm that.
forget.
Yeah,
You
I'm
may
that.
forget, but you are that. So we have, as intelligent beings and human beings that we are, we have to assert that.
Yeah.
Because you want to be good Vedantins. And trust me, I am a non-dualistic kind of fellow, kind of Swami. I am, true. I am 100%. What you say, paka dwaiting. In India, they say paka. But because of that, I think I love to be a great devotee as well. We need to understand with our human minds why, the reason why we have to be devoted, why we have to apply in our lives duality, why we have to get hold of any means that we have in the outside to be reminded of who we truly are and our relationship with God.
But Swami, my understanding is that we have been always in twos. My mother, my father, my you see, always seeing the two, everything in two. So
Yeah, yes.
So I guess
And I'm not, yeah.
in one way
I'm
you're
not,
connected. In one way you're connected with your mother and father, but still, he's my father, he's my mother. So I think this duality comes.
naturally.
Yeah.
Just as symbols come naturally, just as your idea of the space or the ocean and the sky comes inevitably. So I'm not discouraging you to look upon God as a mother or a father and continue with that relationship with him or with her. Quite the opposite. I want you to understand why that is happening. I want to encourage you to assert their reality already existing and happening here and now. And you accepting the freedom that you have to love and have a relationship with your God. Then only, yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, then only our life and spiritual practices are full, soaked in meaning. Because that meaning is what is going to transform our daily lives in the security, confidence that God is truly with me always. Yes, Sima was going to say something.
Yes, Swamiji. After the direct service to God and doing, via meditation sadhana, then the next best thing, and what do you think about it? I like the selfless seva. That would be the next best thing, to see the God in everyone and serve them. Obviously, we cannot be like you, Swamiji, or Mother Teresa to that level and extent, but just doing selfless seva without any expectations is very is the next level of happiness. If I may say this, I was listening to Pravajika Divya Pranayam. I forget her name. Maybe not pronouncing it.
Yeah,
she
Divya
said,
Pranayam.
Yeah, she said, the lowest form of happiness is from the senses. The next higher one is sublime thoughts. That's number 4. Number 3 is intellectual flow. When we are in union with something, our creativity just flows. Number 4 is selfless seva. And number 1 is direct union with God via sadhana. Rup Dhyan sadhana is what I do. And I liked it so much, I have been writing it and repeating
You wrote it
sharing
down.
it with my friends. Yeah. And I got it I imprinted on my mind.
Yes, very good. It's very nice. Well, what she said actually is that there are different sources of happiness.
Right.
We have instinctive happiness, which is the most rudimentary kind of happiness that we satisfy our senses.
Right.
When it comes to that, we are not much different than an animal.
Right.
But then we have our minds, we have our intellects, we have a Buddhist. So we have some kind of happiness that is called intellectual happiness. We can fly, we can create, we can express that God capacity that we all have, can create beautiful music, beautiful poetry. We can fly. And that it gives some kind of satisfaction and bliss, inner bliss. Higher thoughts. And the higher you go, the higher the bliss. Then you have a spiritual satisfaction and happiness. And a spiritual fulfillment. And when you get there, you get to the point where nothing else is, I mean, we say something is important, we're still attached to it, but in the sense that we don't need anything else. We are fully satisfied, and we don't need neither a boyfriend or a girlfriend, we don't need this or that or a husband to feel that way. We are complete when we achieve that kind of happiness, a spiritual happiness, which is fulfillment. Now, once you get there, you realize and you have to accept that you will have to continue in this world. Because you have to keep living, right? You have to keep living because we can't really put an end to this. This is our prarabdha karma. As long as we have this body, we have to keep living. And the show goes on. Until somebody, knocks at our door and say, hey, you there? No, not yet. Well, it's time. Until then, we have to continue playing the play. We have to continue with our roles on this stage.
Right.
What is the best practice that you can do? The best thing you can do with your life? How would you utilize your life knowing, or at least as we are doing now, intellectually understanding that the highest bliss or experience or satisfaction that you can have is the spiritual one? When it comes to that, you realize that my God is in me and is in you and is in everybody and is in everything. Therefore, my attitude towards life and towards all living beings and not should change. And I should embrace everything as me. I am also in others. Therefore, that is the source and the right point of view that you should have when it comes to seva. When you realize that seva, which is service to others, you are in reality serving God in others.
Right.
And you experience and the oneness, and you experience that bliss. So for all of us, seva is definitely a beautiful spiritual practice when you are truly doing it with that mindset and that idea. And in my personal experience, there is nothing when it comes to your active life, because we kind of all have kind of like an inner life, But when you are in action, there is nothing more fulfilling than serving a human being. I mean, serving living beings is absolutely fantastic when you do it sincerely and when you do it in the awareness and with the consciousness that you and God live there in that person. Because you are able to open your heart and give your love.
Yeah, that brings about the highest, next to the highest bliss, which is in sadhana.
In sadhana. So, for all of us, before we are able to manifest this inevitable fact or reality that I expressed in the beginning of this talk, when very Vedantic kind of approach, In order to make that a reality, we have to practice it. You may say, well, Swami, yes, that sounds beautiful. The scriptures and all this, Ramakrishna was great indeed, but that was Ramakrishna. It doesn't have to be me. In fact, that's not me, because I experience everything as a duality, and I can't keep up with my neighbor and this fellow that is constantly complaining all the time. And what do you have to do? What is the third source of knowledge? You trust the experience of people. You trust the message and the experience of those who have already got there. You trust them. You don't just trust them just because your mother told you or your friend told you, or you have, no. It has to make sense to you that somebody like Sri Ramakrishna or Jesus, they understood something and they are in a higher pedestal than you. You want to call them God, is your choice, but certainly, inevitably, they are in a higher position, in a higher understanding than you. So if you want to get there, at least there, just follow what they say. And what they say, they all say the same thing. The way to purify and to live in that knowledge is through practice. And what do we have to practice? A lifestyle. A life centered in God. A divine-centered activity where everything you do is for the sake of God. It's done in God, for His sake only. And when it comes to that, you will realize that you are His instrument, and anything you do is your field of yoga. So you will give your best. If you are cooking something, it's not that you're doing and then you are multitasking and doing and not paying attention. You have to pay attention and give the best of your attention to everything you do, with your heart, intellect placed there. That is how you're going to be experiencing God in everything.
Swamiji,
Swamiji?
Swami Ramakrishna says, that's why he says, because we'll talk about service. If we talk about service, always I do this. I'm going to serve the food. I'm going to deliver the food. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna says, do your sadhana first, but first get there, and then what you do, it will be for, without your ego or something like that. But, usually I think we get into how we seva is good and sadhana, this is good, but I think, as you said, sadhana should not be the last word. Sadhana should be the actually first tool. If you know your God in you, first it is, I think we need to mature ourselves with our practices and be at a place where we forget about me, then these things are all be done.
So yes, Usha, there are two ways of expressing and communicating or conveying these ideas. One way is I treat you like a kid. I mean, I or anybody can treat us, not me, all like kids. Just do this. Do what I say. Follow my message. The other way is by us trying to understand the reasons why we have to follow the footsteps of someone who has already reached the goal. Definitely, we all have to live in this world, and we all have to practice karma yoga. Karma yoga is not the karma yoga of Swamiji. Yes, it is that karma yoga plus the harmony of all the yogas possible, even the ones you can even make up in order to feel united with God. Call them whatever. It has to be yoga. It has to keep you inspired in the constant presence of God. That's inevitable in all of us. For that, we have to have a commitment to constantly practice, be serious, a harmony in our lives, disciplines. A disciplined life is inevitable. So are we clear why we have to live a divine-centered activity?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
Swamiji,
absolutely.
You're a good
I have-
teacher. I mean, yeah, it was good points you made. I think it's very kind of something to really pay attention to that. And I think, you know, I would say I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, I think whatever you said, it's very valid and very practical. Actually, very practical.
Yes, yes. So, yes, anybody else
Swamiji?
would like to say something? Yes.
Yes, I have experienced two drawbacks in terms of doing selfless sevas with two category of people. One who I know has a demonic nature and has
Okay.
been hurtful to me. And I have talked to numerous Swamijis, how do you handle that situation? And they have said, stay away from their aura, just send them prayers. The other category of people is you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. So you cannot do selfless seva in terms of sharing spirituality or anything unless they're ready for it. Or you're going to hear, oh, keep your Swamiji to yourself, keep your Babaji to yourself. So those two categories of people, I have difficulty doing selfless seva without any reservations, especially the demonic nature. I'm very attuned to my aura being infected by them and then having to do sadhana and purge it out. So
That's
your
okay.
thoughts,
You know,
please.
yes, I mean, that demonic nature is in all of us. I don't know who is speaking, Sima or
Yes, Siva.
Sima. The demonic nature is in all of us. In some of us, it's more manifested than others, just because, not because they are in a lower position than us. It's because they don't know anything better. They try their best. They are desperate. And just like you love a children, you love your kid, just like you love somebody who is a relative, and you understand that their desperation, and you're able to open your heart and experience compassion for them and try to help as much as possible. But most importantly is that you need to understand that we are all looking for the same thing. And we all try to do crazy things in order to get there. And we are all selfish in our own way, and some are more selfish than others. Okay, but not because of that we need to judge or determine that they're in a lower position than us, because they might be in a higher position in some other field. So that's not kind of like, I wouldn't recommend to take that path. I would recommend to take the path of freedom, the path that will make you free. And that path that will make you free is that makes you understand that that person is also suffering. And in that suffering and in that desperation, sometimes you can see that people are a little bit imagining that you are drowning, and the way not to drown is to not to lose your calmness. You have to stay calm. And so naturally, if you see somebody like that, the best thing we can do is to just send good thoughts. Thoughts are powerful.
Prayers.
Prayer is extremely more powerful than we think it is.
Right.
Extremely powerful. We have no idea what we can do with our minds.
Swamiji,
So thoughts of love and compassion for those who don't know anything better and who are trying their best is the best thing you can do, the best seva you can do for them. And if we say, well, Swamiji, that's okay, I can't stay close, that's fine. You don't really necessarily have to stay close to them. You know, Swami Ramakrishna says there is a God is everywhere, even in the tiger. The snake also needs to hiss in order to protect himself or itself. So
you don't have to be close to send prayers.
No,
Prayers
you don't.
can
You
go
don't. Not.
anywhere,
You don't.
from anywhere to
Yes,
anywhere.
particularly if she or he triggers something in you, which is the sense of fear or uncomfort, or some kind of a strange feeling. You have to understand why this is happening within you. But the best thing you can do is to understand that we are all in the same predicament. We are all suffering. And in that desperation, some people do crazy things and evil things. But not because of that, we need to tag them as lost. The best thing we can do is to try to work that through our hearts. That's my recommendation. And yes, if you feel to stay away, that's okay. That's okay. But always send love. Send love and good thoughts, good intentions. That will make you feel free.
Thank you, Swamiji. It's 9 o'clock almost. And maybe somebody else has a question, fine. Otherwise, I think probably they will otherwise be beaten up by all of them. Those who weren't working. You kept us so long. But anyway,
yeah. So
anyone has any
you can say, Usha, next time, Swamiji needs to go. Swamiji is so busy. We should let him go.
No, I won't let you go personally. But if anyone has questions, please ask. If not, I think we should have Swamiji having a closing prayer and
yes.
And those who want to leave, they can leave. Those who want to stay.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Let's close. Let's close because it went for too long, and I'm one of those that when starts talking, the other day on Sunday I gave a talk, and I get so much into it that I couldn't stop, and I had to stop for a moment. I said, those who need to go, please feel free to go, because I'm gonna keep going for another 15 more minutes until I finish this idea. I'm not gonna stop. Okay. And so a few of them left, of course, naturally, but that's very selfish of me. I want to keep you.
Yeah, no, I mean, your love for understanding and teaching is really admirable. I really like it very much. You enjoy what you do. That is the best thing. And at least we can get something, if not a whole lot, something out of that. So really,
that's nice. We have to constantly think, constantly do these talks, talk to each other, do satsanga, because it's required. We forget this world. It's not evil, but it is the way it is, and it makes us forget. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.